Yo, what's cracking, guys? Faison here, and today I'm bringing you guys episode 2 of Analyzing Albaz, a series in which we'll go over all of the various ways you can play the branded archetype, as well as the various price points you can play it at. Today we're going to be going over branded Eldritch. In my opinion, this is going to be the strongest non-Despia variant of the deck, and a huge plus is that it is incredibly cheap. Because the Eldritch cards are very, very inexpensive, with recent reprints on almost every card, the most expensive card in the deck is actually going to be Skill Drain at like $20 a pop, and you're going to need 3 of them. But besides that, there are no real expensive cards that are absolutely necessary for the deck. In future episodes, I'm going to be going over how to best upgrade this deck as you increase your budget, but this version of the deck you can build for just over $100, I want to say, which, as far as a competitive meta deck goes, not very bad at all. But let's go ahead and get right into it. For the main deck, we're playing 40. We're going to be playing 3 monsters with 2 Lord and the 1 Fallen of Albaz. The reason we're playing 1 instead of 2 is because ultimately, you only need to resolve Branded Fusion once. In this deck, Branded Fusion is not a win condition. Mirror Jade is just a nice plus that you have. Ultimately, the Branded Fusion engine is going to be used just to set up your graveyard on turn 1. This helps you resolve a lot of the issues that Eldritch has in terms of pacing, and you get to just play the game at 1 turn faster, which is going to help your tempo overall. Moving on to the spells, we're playing 3 Eldland and 1 White Destiny for the Eldritch spells. The reason we're playing white, even though it's not typically played in older deck lists, is because now that we can consistently set up Eldritch the Golden Lord in the grave during our first turn, White Destiny becomes a lot more consistent. We've got the 3 Branded Fusion, the best spell in the deck. 3 Pot of Extravagance, which thankfully just got a reprint in the Albaz Strike Structure deck, so a very inexpensive consistency card. And the rest of the deck is going to be our trap cards. We're playing the standard ratio of 3 Sanguine, 3 Conquistador, and 2 Hawkero for the Eldritch traps, and we're going to finish it off with 1 Golden Land Forever. The reason we're playing Golden Land Forever is, once again, because we can set up Eldritch the Golden Lord in the graveyard during our first turn, it makes Golden Land Forever very, very consistent as a searchable Omni-Negate, which is fantastic. You can get it by hard drawing it, by using Cursed Eldland to add it to hand, or if you get a Sanguine or a White Destiny into your graveyard your first turn, you can banish it to set the Golden Land Forever as well. Next up we have our Floodgates. We're playing 3 Skill Drain, the best one. 3 There Can Be Only One, and 3 Rivalry. I decided to opt for Rivalry over Gozen because I think that it has a lot more application as Despia is going to get more popular. While I think the most important matchup that this loses to now is Sword Soul, because Gozen actually hits Sword Soul, whereas Rivalry will not. I think in the broader meta, it is probably a little bit better to play Rivalry at the moment. This also has good application if we side in Zombie World. And moving on to our blowout cards, we're playing 3 Torrential, 3 Dimensional Barrier, and to round it out, 3 Solemn Strike. I just decided to play these trap cards because they have the biggest impact, in my opinion. With cards like Dogmatica Punishment and Ice Dragon's Prison, I think they're a bit lower impact, though you can justify Dogmatica Punishment with a bigger Dogmatica engine, because then at least it like recurs and it's searchable. But in this version of the deck, because we're not playing Dogmatica stuff, I think that these traps are going to do a little bit more legwork. Moving on to our extra deck. Since we're playing Prosperity, we want to try to max out on all the cards we want to have access to. So we're playing 3 Mirror Jade, 3 Lubellion, and 3 Albion. You might be wondering why we're playing 3 Lubellion when there are no dark targets to send off. It's because we will be siding into the Necroworld Banshee, and ultimately you don't want to run out of targets for the Mirror Jade, so we will decide to play 3 of each. Next we have our Link Spider and Imduck, just ways to convert our traps. I'm playing 2 Lina, a way to convert the Lord and bring him back from grave, and then we're playing 1 Gustav and 1 Pleiades. This is just a deck space issue. I think ultimately you can justify cutting Lina to 1 and then upping the Gustav or Pleiades, or cutting Gustav or Pleiades and upping the other one. It's just a matter of what you think you're going to go into most. Based on my playstyle, I think Pleiades is the least important of them, so I would play 2 Lina, and I might even cut the Pleiades to play 1 additional Gustav. And moving on to the side deck. We're playing 3 Lava Golem, 3 Artifact Lancia. I've been a huge fan of this card in the recent ban list just because it has good application against Flunder, which is going to be the hardest matchup in my opinion, as well as just general application dealing with stuff like Evenly Matched and Cosmic Cyclone. We're playing the 1 Necroworld Banshee and 2 Zombie World, just 3 copies of Zombie World, but now with Branded Fusion, this is incredibly searchable, which is awesome. Then I'm playing 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance and 3 Judgment for going first, just to make sure we don't get blown out, since most of our deck is ultimately going to be trap cards. So why does this version of the deck work? Why do I think it's going to be the strongest non-Despia variant? Ultimately, it just has to do with the fact that I think Eldritch is very good. As a deck, it's very consistent, and sitting on Floodgates is very strong. The main issue that Eldritch has had as of late is it's just not fast enough to keep up with other decks. This is starting to change as we're transitioning to a more mid-range format. And I imagine that as Despia becomes more popular, Eldritch is actually going to get much better. And I think that this version of Lich actually has the added benefit, as I mentioned, of playing 1 turn faster. So let's go over the basic combo line. If you have your Branded Fusion and really any way to your Golden Land Forever, let's say a Cursed Eldland, you're going to want to activate the Branded Fusion, which is going to send your Lord and your Albaz to grave, to summon an Albion. And on summon of Albion, you're going to use Albion effect to banish himself and the Fallen of Albaz, or a Mirror Jade. And now, because you have Lord set up in grave, you can activate the Cursed Eldland to search yourself the Golden Land Forever. And you can use the Lord effect sending the Cursed Eldland to summon back Lord. And finally, you can use Cursed Eldland effect to send one of the traps, whatever, let's say, you don't need in that matchup. So we'll say Hakero, since that's typically the worst one. And then in end phase, you can banish the Hakero to set a Sanguine. So here, you have managed to use 2 cards to set up a Lord on board, a Sanguine face down, an Omni Negate, and a non-target banish. So yeah, like I said, this version of the deck, in my opinion, is quite strong. That's a lot more advantage than Eldritch is typically known for generating. I think the main strength of Lich is the fact that it's able to control game pacing, so your opponent can't play as fast as they want to. But now we can actually keep up and play at their speed while also having the benefit of Floodgates. And because you have a searchable Omni Negate, now this deck is going to be a little less susceptible to getting blown out by the, Lightning Storm, Evenly Matched, etc. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what changes you would make, especially as your budget increases. Because like I said, this version of the deck, I have tried to make it as competitive as possible for the lowest price tag possible. I only included cards that were worth over like $10 if I thought they were incredibly necessary to the deck, like Skill Drain, for example. But ultimately, there are a few changes I would make as the budget becomes more flexible. And we're going to go over that the next time I touch on Eldritch. But yeah, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what I'm doing right and wrong around here, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.